Okay. Are we... Can I share? Are we working? Hello, you get to actually see my face today. I'm gonna... Give me a second here. I'm gonna share this because I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this like this before. Anytime you see me on a stream, anytime you see my face on someone else's thing, someone else's show, I'm not controlling that. I don't know how to do any of this. Okay, I'm sharing to the things, and then I will start doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing. Alright, we're gonna share to Facebook and to the Twitter. I don't want that. And can I share to the other Facebook thing? Can I share to my group? I apologize. I'll actually start coloring in a minute. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. All right. Okay. I'm gonna... Hi, hungry. You get to see me flounder around today. I'm gonna try to actually do this now. Okay, so it may be hard to tell, but the screen that you're seeing is what I'm looking down at here. It's like right here because I have it on my drafting table, and I have my keyboard in my lap so that I can do hotkeys because we're coloring a comic page in Photoshop. So let's see. Alright, so I drew this page for this comic project that we're working on. I am the first. And I inked it and got it all scanned in, and then the writer, my collaborator for this project, Jeremy, did the flats. And when he does the flats, which is just these like big basic areas of color that are in here now, which are easy for me to grab and start working with, but he does them all in these like super garish colors just for the sake of making it easy to differentiate the different areas. So I've been going through and swapping them out for slightly less garish colors, something that's actually like what I want the page to look like in the end, more or less. I've got all my little layers over here, got the line art, no touchy, don't mess with the line art, the flats on the bottom. And then what I'm going to be working with first is laying in some shadows. So we're going to start back here with Alec. This is our main character. We're going to get closer. And I'm going to select on the colors layer, I'm going to select his skin first. And then shadows, I have a little key so that I make sure I do those shadows in the right color so they're consistent. And that's the color. So yes, it's very weird. I'm working on coloring a comic page this evening. This is not a thing that I'm normally doing on stream. I had to figure out how to get like OBS to work and everything, and I've literally never seen this screen in YouTube before. I have no idea what I'm doing. Hopefully it's coming through okay and not full of tech issues. Hello, Omar. Thanks for joining me. Feel free to ask any questions about what I'm doing. I am still able to glance up at the screen periodically to see what's going on. Actually, I think that's I'm going to lay a little heavier on the shadows on this one because this is supposed to be a pretty dark scene. So we're actually going to get this whole side of his face is going to be in shadow. Look at how much more dramatic that is all of a sudden. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with his hair. Oops. Thanks. Yeah, I don't often do a lot of digital coloring, but this is the thing I'm pushing to finish right now, and so I was like, well, I may as well show you guys what this process has been like. We're going to be launching this project on Kickstarter on Monday, and I'm on the last couple of pages that need to be colored right now, so that's what we're doing, because it needs to get done before the Kickstarter starts. Alright, so here I just discovered a little error. This happens on occasion. Of this right here, this is what happens when you have someone else do your flats, even though, like, most of the time, like 99% of it, Jeremy does a really great job. But occasionally it's just like a little thing where I know that I meant this little triangle here to be not hair, but actually his forehead, but Jeremy didn't know that, so that's okay. That's easy to fix. So we're just gonna fix it real quick. And get my shadow color back. Yeah, that's looking more like it. This is also, I'm gonna try not to get too obsessive about shading that, because it's also like just this very small part of this page. We don't need to get too worked up about it. Thankfully, when I was first learning how to use Photoshop, my friend T. Gray was like, you are gonna learn how to use hotkeys so that you never have to touch a menu like 99% of the time that you're working. And that was good. It was good that he taught me that, because that helps so much to just be able to do most of what you want without even looking for it. Alright, there's that, and we're gonna get his shirt. Oh, we don't have all colors selected, just contiguous, so all the color, please. And we're gonna go ahead and make, again, all of that's gonna be shadowed. This is a very dark scene, so we're gonna go kind of heavy on the shadows here. The actual like colors in the plaid, I put those in last, because then, or close to last, like in the last pass of coloring, because at this point I can just like select the whole shirt and color it very easily, whereas if there were other colors in here, it would be a little bit trickier to select them all, so I just kind of put those in their own layer later on. Yes, I am. And it's not that it's like necessarily good color theory, because it's kind of not. I'm changing the local color a little bit for each scene for whatever's underneath, but I am just using the same tone for everything for the shadows, yes. I know. It's crazy, right? Hello, Keith. Thanks for joining me. Doing something a little bit different. Because this is the thing I've been doing the most lately. That's supposed to be, I think that part of the backpack strap is supposed to be a different color. I'll have to look that up later, because that doesn't look right. I think that's supposed to be a darker color. And yeah, after I do the, build the shadows up with the gray, I'll go in and kind of sculpt and refine the lines a little bit with the white. Because it's on a multiply layer, so the white just kind of works as an eraser. Hey Spud, this is a comic I'm working on with my friend Jeremy Flagg. He's writing it and I'm drawing it. It's called I Am the First. And we're actually about to start a Kickstarter campaign, and I am trying to make sure that I get all the pages done for the first chapter before we launch the campaign on Monday. That's what I'm working on. I only have a couple of pages left, but I want to make sure that it's done, so I'm working on that right now. Hey, I said zoom out. Cooperate with me. Yeah, I think I'm gonna add a little more down in here. There we go. Okay. I put a link in the description about the Kickstarter if you're interested in following it. It's a superhero origin story. So this is still very much the I am just a normal kid with very big normal kid problems and things I'm trying to deal with. And then whoops, I have superpowers. Now what? Alright. There's Alec, pretty much done. Alright, we're gonna come over to Don and see if something with his eyes looks wonky there. That's not quite right. His iris is like covering his whole eyeball there. Hello, Barney, thanks for joining me. So we're gonna move back to the colors layer and fix that real quick. Nope, I want white. I don't want black. What are you doing? That's again one of those things where like the way that I draw, there's a lot of those little gaps in the lines, and so if you're not the one who drew it, it's very easy to not be really sure where that line is supposed to be. I know where it's supposed to be, but how is anyone else supposed to know that? They're not going to know that. So when I start coloring it, I have to do a certain amount of like fixing those little things of places where my drawing made the flatting job difficult. Alright, we're going to start putting shadows on Dawn. Where did my shadow color go? Oh, whoops. There we go. Alright, the light source for this scene is the TV, which is straight in front of him. Do I ever color the lines at all? Sometimes. Sometimes not for anything in the foreground, every once in a while. It can be. It depends on how you do it. Sometimes for, like, elements in the background that I want to push back, I'll grab all of the lines and give them, like a slightly lighter, like, a gray color or, like, a brown color. If it's something really far off in the distance, then it gets, like, a bluish gray. But yeah, most of the time I do not. And also, like, the way that I color, there's so many different ways to color, and there's so many different ways to do things depending on your, like, what you're comfortable with and what software you're using. And anytime, like, especially like a program like Photoshop, there's always about a half dozen different ways to accomplish the same thing. And it's just a matter of, like, which one is your personal favorite way to do it? Which is the way that you feel like works the best for you? What was I saying before I got sidetracked about that? About lines? Oh yeah, the light source is the TV that's directly in front of him, so light's coming straight at his face. He's going to have a lot of very dramatic shadow action going on his face here. And I will clean some of those up in just a moment. I can show you, Omar, real quick how I grab lines. There's a spot on this page where it would make sense too, so let me just clean up Don's face here real quick, and then I can show you that. How you would color lines. Alright, I'm pretty pleased with how that's looking. Alright, so we'll come back to you, Dawn. Alright, I'm just going to use, for example, we'll do this little picture on the wall back here. So this is all just black lines. So I'm going to have to go to my line art, no touchy layer, but I'm allowed to touch it because I'm the one who drew it. So I got to unlock it because I had it locked so that Jeremy didn't accidentally mess up the line art. It's not that I don't trust him. It's just that things happen. So I'm going to go to that layer. I'm going to there's my lasso. I'm going to select around the lines I want and carefully not get the lines I don't want because I want the image. I don't want the picture frame, so I want to very carefully not touch that line. So I've got a little lasso around that. I'm going to take my magic wand and remove, not contiguous, everything from the selection that is white in this case, or just anything that's not black, as it turns out. So now I just have the line selected. So there's a couple different options for how you want to change the lines here. You can either just delete them entirely off that layer, in this case because I have my line art set as a multiply layer, so if I worked with it on that layer it would still have that multiply effect going on, which means it would always be darker and mixing with the layers beneath it. So I would move it to like a color layer, and then I could, just for the sake of demonstration, we're going to make the lines orange, and I'm going to fill in that selection. Oh, hold on, let me move that over so you can see it. It's on the wrong screen. Okay, I'm going to fill that in, and now the lines are orange. Or the other option is, once they're selected, And if I want to take them off this layer, but this is, again, depends on how you're doing this. But I'm going to take them off that line art layer still. Delete them off that layer. And then if I wanted them to be like a few different colors for whatever reason, then I could, just leaving that selected, be able to color them on their own layer. And that's how you get that kind of effect. So that would be how you do that. Or a way that you could do that. Because like I said, there's lots of ways you can do stuff. I'm sure, like, I learned new things about how to do stuff in Photoshop all the time. And I'm sure there are other ways to do it in, like, you know, Clip Studio. What? Go away. It's not what I wanted. In, like, Clip Studio Paint or anything like that, or Procreate. Whatever your program of choice is. Basically, you just want to make sure that that section of line that you want to color is the only thing that you have selected, and then you can mess with it and do whatever you want with it. It's the selecting just those lines in that particular place that can get kind of tricky depending on how many other lines and things you have to, like, dodge around. Alright, so back to what I had been doing, which is totally fine, by the way. I love answering questions, so anytime. I would put them with my flat colors just because of the way I organize my layers and what I'm doing with them. It may make sense to put them on a separate layer or on one of your other layers, depending on what you're doing. Because the other thing is sometimes I'll grab, one of the other few places where I grab line art and do something with it is if it's going to be like an effect and then it'll have like its own layer. Like I'll delete it off the line art layer and copy it onto its own layer so that I can then like give that layer an effect, like a glow or a texture or something, to reproduce like a light effect or something like that. I don't like how that looks. That's better. What is happening there? What was that line? Sometimes this stuff looks a little bit super ugly before I go in and refine it a little. Those are some ugly, chunky lines. I'm still not really feeling that. Nope, because that, I think we might just have to, yeah, I think that'll solve it. I think that's the better solution for that. done. Let's see, we'll get some of his little features on his face here. We'll get the teeth and the eyes. Oops, I'm still on my minus selection magic wand, not my plus selection magic wand. That's not what I want. Alright, we need to do his shirt. And there's that side of the shirt. I understand now why like so many of the streamers always have like fun little royalty-free music playing in the background. That's like seems very awkward. It doesn't seem as awkward when my face is not on camera, but my face on awkward. My face on camera, I feel awkward just sitting here silently working. I'm trying to remember to talk to you guys, but I get sucked in sometimes. Folds in his shirt where he's all slouched in his chair. Is that thing still doing... I hope I didn't miss any questions because this stupid thing was doing top chat and not live chat. It looks like I didn't. Okay, good. I hate it when it does that. I don't like it. Alright, let's clean up some of these lines a little bit. That looks better. Zoom out and make sure that all looks like it's making some kind of sense. I feel like I could add a little bit more right here. I feel like that makes more sense. Zoom back out and see if I'm right. Yeah, I like that better. I feel like that looks better. You know, his pants. So I did mention earlier that yes, I am using just one tone of gray for all of the shadows, but this is also on a multiply layer, which means that it is blending with the colors that are underneath it. So it's not just exactly that same gray. As you can see, this and this are not the same color here. So it's it's always if you added this gray to this blue. Or whatever else the local color is. So while using just one gray for all the shadows is like not exactly great color theory, it works and it keeps the page harmonized very well. I think that table would be, let's see. Yeah, that table would be casting a shadow on him. That feels kind of high, but I think that's right. So I'm gonna go ahead and all of that is in shadow because the table is casting a shadow on him. I'm just gonna fill all that in with shadows. Hopefully it doesn't look super goofy. I guess we'll see. Yeah, multiply is selected as the effect on the layer, and that multiply works to combine the colors with the layers beneath it and also to darken it. So, sorry if that question had been hanging there for a minute and I just didn't see it because I was noodling around on here. You can put multiply as an effect on just a brush, but then if I do multiple strokes, the brush strokes add up, and I don't want to do that. I just want it to be a nice flat, even color so that I can build up the shape that I want for the shadows and not be worried about it getting super duper dark in spots where I don't mean it to, or having weird lap lines or anything like that. Let's see how that works. Yeah, you know what? I think that line looks goofy right now because nothing else has it on there, but when I'm able to also put the shadow from the table onto the chair and the other table, then it'll make sense. It just doesn't make sense right now because I've barely begun this page. Oh, okay. That's like everything. All right. Careful not to escape the panel then. You know what, yeah, actually will do. I'll have a little escape. I'm living dangerously. I don't have the blue jeans selected and I'm just hoping I can stay within the lines and not make a mess. I managed. There we go. So now we got a little light peeking past the edge there. I like that. I like that effect. Okay, we have the figures in the first panel. We have their shadows put on. What do I want to tackle next? What part of this complex image with lots of little bits and bobs do I want to tackle next? Alright, we'll get his beer bottle rendered out real quick. And something like the beer bottle will definitely require another pass later of like I'm going to do a highlighting pass as well, which I might do a little bit of that before the stream ends, even though I'm not going to be at that point for like the whole page, but just so you can see what that looks like. So we're at what, 34 minutes? That's not bad. still sticking to my hour of stream because definitely after an hour of being hunched over my tablet, I'm gonna need to get up and stretch. Let's do the chair. Let's do Dawn's beat up chair. Let's see, and if we then have that for the shadow cast by the table, maybe that'll make some more sense. Whoop. Got the fluff escaping from the corner of the arm here. Let's see. I'm thinking, oh, that's gonna get rid of my little, my darling little fluff shadow. I guess we'll just have to move some of the fluff shadow up here, because I do feel like this should all be shadowed. Because again, our light source is the TV directly in front of Dawn, which is off frame, like out of frame, very nearly where your point of view is on the picture plane, pretty close to it. Just go get all of that, I think. Oh my word. Well, right now this project is taking up a huge amount of my time. So the question was, what percentage of your overall work currently would you guess is in color? Because of this project, a lot. Because of this project, like 75% of it ends up in color. And like the only thing I'm doing that's just in black and white is Age of Night right now. Which I am not sure how my life ended up like this. Because, yeah, I'm going to do a lot of that. Thanks, Barney. I appreciate that. Yeah, because a lot of the work that I do for freelance for Skirmisher has been in color lately. And this is a big project that I'm working on. And then the only other big project that I'm working on all the time is Age of Night. And that's the only one that's in black and white right now. And this one, like, I bounce back and forth between doing color pages and, like, drawing and inking the pages before they get to this stage. But I've been churning away on getting pages colored for this in time for the campaign. Oh, okay. I guess we'll do this end table back here, too. Cool. don't think, no, it wouldn't reach there, so we're gonna make that a little smaller. Do some of this. This leg back here can be in shadow because it's underneath. Get some shadows under the pizza boxes. Little pizza box point shadow sticking down there. Oh, now we get to do all the shadows around all the gross stuff on this table. Gross, 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 gross. Gross, gross, gross. People not picking up after themselves is gross. Come on. Let's put these dishes in the sink. What are you doing? Shadows from these crumpled up used napkins. That's the best pizza box shadow I've seen all day on a main-based Tuesday night artist live stream. Thanks, Barney. You really know how to make a lady feel special. Oh, jeez. Alright, this side over here is gonna be all shadow, 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 shadow. Does that look good? I think that looks good. I think that looks pretty decent. We'll work on some of these little odds and ends here for a minute, and then I'll do the, and then I'll show you what the highlighting looks like, even though that's, usually I go through and I do all of the shadows on the whole page, but that's obviously still going to take me a while because I've gotten not a whole lot of this page done yet, because it's got a lot of little bits and bobs, as you can see. Some of these pages really do not take long at all to render, but then the more of these little odds and ends that there are, the longer it takes. That's more stuff I gotta figure out. This ketchup packet back here, those don't look ketchupy enough to me. I'm gonna make them more ketchupy. I don't quite want that color. I want it to be a little bit more brown. Ketchup is like way more brown than you think. That looks much more like ketchup now. I also want to change the color of that to this. Shift F5 to fill it in. I want to change that to the color I selected the first time for the ketchup, to be the packet. That looks more like it. But I will select all of these and just give them all their shadows at the same time. Boop. So yeah, that kind of like, those were colors that Jeremy had left that I did not change, and that kind of thing, like a lot of the time early on, especially while I'm working on flatting, I spend a lot of time just adjusting the colors. What do you typically send to a publisher or printer? They usually want PDFs, usually, but always ask your publisher or printer because not everybody does. And also, if it's PDFs, they usually want it in like a particular type of PDF because there's lots of different types. And then if you're like self-publishing, using some kind of self-publishing platform, everything is a mystery, and they make it intentionally difficult and never tell you what they actually want and just tell you when things are wrong. That's not at all me speaking from grudging terrible experience. Yes, it is. Alright, I want a lighter color. I want it kind of yellowy, but kind of dull. We'll go with that. That's good. Whoop. Scraps of food on the little plates left on there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Then we've got the plates themselves. The file that, I am working with is still a Photoshop file, so I have all of my layers, and the important thing to keep in mind for what I'm working with for a file right now is that it is in CMYK, because the idea is, and that is the print color profile, because the idea is that this will be printed at some point, because if you color things in RGB, which is the visual display color profile, the digital color profile, a lot of the colors that can appear in light cannot be reproduced in pigments, cannot be printed. So you will put in all these beautiful colors, and your colors will look so beautiful, and then you'll print them and you'll go, oh no, what happened to my beautiful colors? What happened to them is that they don't exist in printed work, so that's what happened to them. So if you intend to have your stuff printed, work in CMYK so that you do not have your heart broken later. Because if you're working in CMYK, then the computer will not allow you to use colors that can't be printed. It'll just go, no, you don't get that color. Here's the next closest thing. That is a stack of dirty dishes. Alright, we're at 8:48, so we only have like 12-ish minutes left. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to jump back over, we'll work on Dawn's face to do this, because it's a nice, good-sized element here. And I'll show you real quick how I do my highlighting layer, because we only have a little bit of time left. So select the color that I want to work with on the colors layer, go to highlights. Now I have to pick what I want my highlight color to be. It's usually going to be pretty light. And again, see, this is the thing that I was talking about. Move this over where you can see it because it's under my face. Right here it's showing me that the color I have selected, it says, you can't print that. That's not a real color that you can print. And so if I poke that and go, well, what's the next closest color? It says, that's the next closest color I can give you that can actually be printed. And I'll go, yeah, alright, that looks good. And I'm going to switch from using my hard pencil that just gives me this round pixely dot. I don't want that. So I'm going to switch back over to my brush and make sure I'm on the right brush. I don't want a multiply brush. I want a normal brush. And I only have it at 25% opacity and flow. And then I can start on the highlights layer, just kind of slowly building up what I want for the highlights, where I want them. Oh, cool. Control Y to swap color profiles. That's neat. I just work in it the whole time so that I'm not upset when what I was trying to do isn't going to work. So I'm going through and picking out the highlights wherever I want those to be. In this case, I want them to be that bright TV glow blue, which is what I've got going on here. And then again, I can use my eraser this time and just kind of anywhere where it's like, oh, that got a little bit too heavy. Let's just tone that down a little bit. That didn't make sense. We'll tone that part down a little bit. And that's how I do my highlights. The highlights usually don't take very long. The shadows really provide most of the structure, and then the highlights just kind of give it a little more depth. Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm pretty pleased with how that works. I think that works pretty well for the TV glow. It'll also work better when more of the background is darker and not still this like bright, gross yellow. But I can do the same thing on his hair. Make that a much smaller brush. Get those in there. We're on the last 10 minutes, so I gotta do the things while I'm working on this. And remind you, I'm Amanda Call. This is my YouTube channel. This is a comic I'm working on, and you should definitely go check it out. This one's not available to read yet, unlike the one I'm normally working on, which is my webcomic Age of Night. That's not what I'm working on today. I'm working on I Am the First, which is a superhero origin story about being gay or otherwise different in a small town in the middle of nowhere, and then also discovering, oh crap, I have superpowers. Now what do I do? That, I put a link to our like Kickstarter follow page in the description thingy, so you can check that out, because that'll be going live in just a few days, which is why I'm trying to finish this. And I'm always here on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern. A lot of times I'm working on my webcomic Age of Night, which you can find on ageofnight.com. That's ageofnight.com. You can also help support me on Patreon if you feel so inclined. And that's patreon.com/ageofnight. That helps to allow me to do all of these things, and I super appreciate it. I don't have a TikTok, Barney. I probably will stream a little bit more coloring at different times while this project is going on, just because this is massively time consuming, and so this is a thing I'm gonna have to be working on quite a bit, especially as the Kickstarter campaign goes on. It's just a good idea for us to be yammering about it to people as much as possible, so I imagine there will be a few more coloring sessions, yes. And especially if people like them. Like, if you guys like this and think this is cool, then I'll definitely do more, but I understand also that a lot of people specifically come to my channel because they like seeing me work on traditional art, and I like working on traditional art. That's primarily what I do, so just let me know. Leave comments and stuff, and fill out a survey card and mail it to me. I don't know. How's that? Ah! I hate it when you accidentally let go of Alt too soon and then it zooms you back in really fast. Gives me whiplash. No, I don't have a TikTok, Barney, but I do have an Instagram, which is Amanda Call Art, and I do have Twitter, which is Age of Night. Barney really wants me to get a TikTok. Do you have a TikTok, Barney? Do you have a TikTok account? Can they follow you on TikTok? Is it Story Comic? Is that your TikTok? I think that was all the things. I think that's all the things that I need to tell people to do. Like subscribe to the channel and like the video and the stuff. I do live streams every Tuesday at 8. You don't tick nor talk. Okay, you know what? I'll get a TikTok when you get a TikTok, Barney. How's that? How's that, sir? That was just a little bit too hard edged, so we're just gonna kind of soften that up a little bit. Alright, we'll see how this goes. We're just gonna be two old people obnoxiously interacting with just each other on TikTok. That's how that's gonna go. Yeah, I think that's not bad. Thanks so much, Keith. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think so. That's what we're gonna do for this evening. I have the shadows done on a couple of figures and some of the setting elements, and got to show you guys what the highlighting will look like on this scene in particular. And yeah, it's coming along. I still have a lot of work to do over the next couple of days, and hey, I miraculously got the 2 screens streaming thing to work. I appreciate you all bearing with me as I try to figure this out. So, thank you everybody. I will see you next time. Bye.